Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. And tonight, Drew is not here, which, unfortunate. We always like talking to Drew about whatever he has to say, but we got a replacement. Please welcome the great, the talented, the fusion rifle guy, Legolet Flash, or Lego, right? For sure.
Yes, Lego. Just say Lego. Thank you all so much for having me on. This is awesome.
Oh, not a problem at all. Man, I changed my my Discord background to show a picture of Telesto, but it's too big. It's like huge. I need to shrink that bad boy down. I don't even know. You can tell what's going on behind me. Also, I have a cone over your face. There you are. Sorry. There's the beautiful face reveal. He is not a cone. He is not Drewski. It is Lego. Well, we really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all inviting me on. I'm excited to talk about Telesto and other things.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
But Telesto is pretty hot right now.
Hot in a certain way. Yeah, we'll we'll definitely get to that. I guess we could give the people like a 1-minute rundown of who you are.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Lego, aka Legoli Flash. I do creative, I guess cinematic montages and guides is the best way to say it. I used to just do a bunch of movie of the week stuff like once a year, basically like, hey, I'll go for movie of the week this year. And that was kind of it.
You would get it like every time.
Yeah, my batting average is pretty high for that.
Pretty high.
But then I kind of transitioned about 4 months ago, I guess, into making YouTube guides and I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. And so here we are a few months later and it's rolling. So I'm having fun with it.
Good for
and
you.
I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Are you a full-timer? Remind me.
No, not at all. I'm a full-time videographer still. And so everything that I do YouTube wise is basically after the kid goes to sleep. And it has been a journey. Yeah, it is a journey. But I should say I also am a big time damage stacker lover, fusion rifle lover, and glaive lover, which I know is a can be a detestable thing. So I'm in dangerous waters here, but
nah, you're fine. All the wild people we got on the show, you're totally fine. By the way, cool guy, how is it now that you've moved into your evil Batman lair?
Dude, like I was telling them before, dude, I have like a really bad headache, so like my lights are off. Feels good though. I have vengeance, all the things.
Is the black t-shirt and the black hat, were they planned or did you just not?
They both came out of the Destiny side of the closet. We all have one.
We all do for sure.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born.
Cool guy was born in it, molded by it. Cammy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good.
Terrific. All right, we'll keep the intros short and sweet, baby. Lego mentioned earlier that Telesto do in fact be wildin' right now. If you're listening to our podcast not live and over the weekend, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, yeah, Bungie has been doing weird things with Telesto, and there's not really a ton to report on, but I feel like it would be wrong to not mention it. But currently we've gone through, I think we're on alternate firing mode number 2 now, right?
Believe so. Yes, that sounds about right. I wasn't sure for a second if number 2 was like just straight bouncing off objects, but it's like doing damage and then exploding and then bouncing off right now.
Is it viable at all, or is it just kind of a meme?
So I was curious if y'all had tried it in Crucible yet, because I feel like it actually got some kind of buff, and I've been looking through old, not in damage, but in terms of usability, I've been looking through old footage to see if this was true, but the delay, there has always been this delay when you shoot Telesto and it hits and delays and fires, and so that's why I don't use it much in the Crucible, because it is kind of a trade machine. Like, yeah, you could get the kill, but if you don't back off right as you shoot, and you're playing against a really good player, you're just going to trade. And so I feel like it's detonating like immediately because of the way that the like bounce off mechanic works. Something about that is making it kill immediately. And I don't feel like I'm trading at all. I haven't been able to like go frame by frame, but I looked at old clips and it feels faster. And in the actual Crucible play time that I did, it was like wow, I feel very, very strong with this.
Yeah, we don't really know what they're doing. A bunch of people have been trying to figure things out. Paul Tassi has gone way too far down the rabbit hole. Like, I don't even know what to say. I'm starting to bookmark the wildest conspiracy theories that I've seen on Twitter, and they've ranged from like, that's interesting, to full on copium, to you need professional help. Like I don't want to completely blow this person up, but I did see a tweet, I have it bookmarked legit, of they took a whiteboard and they just scrawled a ton of theories in very legible handwriting. You would think that that kind of work would be from the mind of a madman, but very legible handwriting of every possible Telesto-based theory. And it's like, wow. Are you getting enough exercise? Drinking water is important. Fresh air, all that good stuff. But we don't really know what Bungie is doing. We don't know. A lot of people think it might be tied to just an emblem, which I'm going to put it out there. If it's all for just like an emblem, I might be a little sad. But whatever. Who cares, right? Any cool guy, Cammy? Any thoughts on the Telesto situation right now?
I hope that they disable it for a second so that the glitch happens where it's just visually shooting the wrong thing.
Like
and then
what?
Telesto could look really broken.
It'd be really
That
funny.
happened with Lord of Wolves. I had it equipped for a Rumble match,
Yeah.
then swapped off of it because I was like, I don't need to use this anymore. I already got the footage. Sure enough, the weapon model stayed, but like Fighting Lion.
no.
I remember
replaced
that
it.
clip
And
on
so
Twitter. Yeah.
Lord of Wolves started shooting Fighting Lion grenade launchers, and it worked with every weapon. It worked with Ariana's Vow. I could have probably used a glaive with it if I thought about it at the time. Would have just looked hilarious.
What about Telesto firing like the last word?
Right, you could
Yeah,
definitely do that.
That would be great.
It was in the same slot type thing, so you could be really creative. Like Skyburner's Oath animation might look really funny.
Well, yeah, if any of you out there have any Telesto theories, regardless of how crazy or sane they are, just let me know. I kind of want to hear them. Hit me up on Twitter.
I think it's great, man.
You're enjoying the memes?
Well, it doesn't, like, I think it's great, and I don't care what the outcome is, right? And this is why.
Because it's low stakes, you mean?
Well, yeah, the thing is, we don't know. It could be an emblem. It could be maybe they're going to do a t-shirt. It could be something actually in the game. It could be, you know, a funny thing within the game. Like, we don't know. That's the best part about it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've hit seasonal models.
Sure.
And we know what to expect. And especially towards the end of the season before a new one and then into the new DLC, like there's these lull times. So if they can throw something like this, throw it all the time. I don't care. Even because, you know, I saw some, you know, if all of you get, you know, is this emblem, it's just that's tone deaf. That's a big letdown. But like, dude, anytime, do something like this anytime.
As long as they're not, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it could be fun if they did fun, silly crap like that for an emblem all the time. But I will go on the record.
I want to add
saying I really do
like
miss. Sorry, go ahead, Kimmy.
The tone and how self-aware Bungie is about Telesto. Like ever since Dares of Eternity and the 30th anniversary, I feel like the tone and approach they have to making content has been a lot more enjoyable to play when the game takes itself a little less seriously. Just much more enjoyable. I guess I see some responses about the Telesto thing, like the joke's kind of been beating a dead horse type thing. Just it's always been referenced. But at the same time, they're self-aware about it, and I like that tone moving forward.
Yeah, they're definitely
about more things in the Destiny universe would be really cool.
They're leaning into the joke, which I appreciate. I do also miss the actual huge fun community events where there is something of substance, but I do understand that they can't do those all the time. As long as there's one coming maybe in the near future, my thirst will be quenched. But sure, fun stuff for a meme. Okay, why not?
I was looking at like I started thinking about it as not just, well, like compared to like those secret missions and stuff that are like really all out, really fun. But what if you compare it to like one of the community events where we like all sit in the tower and watch something happen? Those type of ones they've been doing. Like compared to that, this is awesome. Like it's like you actually get to get in and do something and play around with the different functionalities, especially if Telesto keeps breaking, like y'all are saying. And it's just these different ways to use it. It's actually something fun to do that everyone, you go in the Crucible, like half the lobby is using Telesto. It's just hilarious. And so if that keeps progressing and the meme keeps progressing online, it'll just be fun, you know, ridiculous fun if that's all it is. And I'm enjoying that part of it, at least.
I'm glad you said it. Like that clicked for me when you said it, because they want to do these world building events like that ship blowing up over the tower. And that's nothing I'm ever going to tell a new Destiny player about. Not going to be like, you had to be there when the Cabal ship blew up above the tower or whatever. But broken Telesto, that is absolutely worth remembering.
That's fair.
Oh, you should have been there when Telesto was malfunctioning and it was shooting Nova bombs.
Yeah, I
That's
would.
the final form.
If they keep, I'll give them more credit if they continue to take this further and further each day. Like, keep breaking the gun, keep getting weirder. Let's get weird, bro. Let's get really weird. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's do crazy stuff. Definitely way more engaging than like, oh, let's all stand in the tower and look at the sky. Although the best part about that were all the memes when people were just lighting up Twitter, just being like, is this something? Is that something? And like everybody waiting for some shit to happen. We were all kind of united together in the meme of waiting at the tower for pretty much nothing to happen. But anyway, keep us posted on your theories or what have you. We would love to hear from you. Moving on to more substantial topics. We probably should talk about the big ticket item, which is the linear fusion rifle Nerf. So we are recording today's episode on Wednesday, November 9th, year of our Lord 2022. And yesterday, there was a patch that originally was intended to drop in Season 19, but the people were kind of complaining. They were complaining, and, you know, justifiably so. Linear fusion rifles are a huge pain point. I'm sure there's dozens of people out there who really do like them, but the majority of the PvP player base was kind of frustrated at how they perform. They kind of perform really easily and very effectively, and they've really been dominating the weapon chart usage in trials specifically for quite a while. So,
and that's also following a sniper flinch change.
Correct.
Which just makes them even better by proxy.
Right. When the sniper viability goes down, the other options are raised without anything needing to happen to them. So yeah, so that dropped on Tuesday because Bungie was like, F it, we'll push it up. And a lot of mixed feedback. I've been watching a lot of clips. When the patch dropped, I went right into a private lobby to try and get a handle on it. And the initial reaction was yay, but then things on Twitter kind of make you go, huh? So I know Cammy's been fiddling around a lot with it, but let me set up Cammy. I'll set up the old T-ball here. So one thing they did was they changed the aim assist cone on the weapon. That I feel like they did a great job on. I noticed that right away. Pre the patch, I went into a custom game. I did a thing where, like, friend and I put him up against a wall. I aimed like right here above his head, right off to the side, charged up fire, headshot, bullet, just magnet right to his dome. Easy, bro, easy. And then after the patch, same thing, whiff, did not get the headshot. Like, that is a big thumbs up from me. Not a lot of people are going to notice that change as much, but it definitely is there. And then the second change is the flinch change, and that's where things are kind of getting a little weird. They definitely have more flinch. When I tested in the private lobby, you get shot, you kick way up, way up, super huge. But people have been talking about the flinch cap. Cammy, do you want to take it away from here?
Yeah, I'll take it away from here. So there is a vertical limit to how much the gun can kick up from flinch. And if you intentionally abuse it, it becomes predictable. It is more flinch, but it is predictably more flinch, so you can adjust for it. And that's what I think the difference maker is going to be for the teams that were already abusing Arbalest at the highest level to continue using it like nothing happened. However, there's also a player psychology thing where Bungie slightly nerfs something, it just becomes forgotten by the player base. I don't think this is going to be the case. Maybe depending on the map, like if it's Wormhaven, you might see a bunch of dead messengers instead. Yeah. But if it's Widow's Court or something, you're probably going to see a bunch of Arbalists still.
Probably. Yeah, it's an interesting situation for sure. I've gone through a bunch of different thoughts about the flinch cap situation. My first initial thought, gut reaction, was like, okay, yeah, you are getting flinched way higher, which is good. I guess after seeing the clips, like, you could train your muscle memory or try to... There's one of two ways you can get around it, right? You can intentionally walk around the map, and every time you're about to scope into somebody, you aim way lower than intended, like anticipating the flinch. Now, that could be really ballsy. Like, if your plan, your game plan is to anticipate the flinch, I don't know how successful you're going to be with that on the regular. But then the other factor is people who are going to just aim for the head or the neck, but then when they get shot, they're going to practice the art of instantly dragging down either the mouse or the right joystick to pull down to appropriate head level like that.
Yeah, remember, once it caps out, it's free for MNK, the good players.
Especially for MNK, down. Yeah. And that's another worry of mine, Cammy, because the first part I was like, well, in theory, it's going to drive a lot of the weekend only, the casual, the very infrequent PvP player base. They're going to be like, well, that's too much effort. Fuck that. I'm not going to learn that, right? Like, let's not... Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm just going to put on a pulse rifle or Forerunner instead. They're not going to make the effort to learn the counterplay of dragging your mouse or stick down. But
yeah, I think for like the wider band of players, it's definitely a nerf, and it's going to be much easier to deal with.
Which originally I was happy about. I was like, oh, good. Well, anything to drive the usage numbers down. But then I thought more about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. What about the people up at the top, like the 1%ers who are like, well, all I really care about is getting this trials carry done, and
there's also like Gear Falcon to facilitate body shotting.
That's
or maybe
the worst.
That armor's got to go, bro.
That's
so
that armor's
if you're already
go.
walking around aiming at their feet, knowing that you're getting a body shot, and you accidentally get a headshot, that's pretty funny.
I think that the conversation's stupid. It is a stupid conversation.
Are we talking about Arby or Gear Falcon?
The flinch, dude.
Okay.
Let's break this down multiple ways.
Break it down,
left,
for me.
right, sideways.
Sure.
In a testing scenario, I'm in front of you, you're in front of me. We can make a lot of things happen, and you can show a lot of the genuous things in this game.
Yeah.
A la shooting an Arbalest next to the head, get a headshot. Oh, look at the magnetism. Well, when you add in friction, when you add in moving, when you add in sliding, that shot does not hit. It does hit though, sometimes, right? But it will hit every single time because of first shot accuracy, because you're standing still. If you're gonna sit in front of me and let me hit you enough to get to max flinch, aiming at my knees, you still have a charge time. Like, okay, here's how I feel. If I'm seeing consistent 8 to 10 headshots a game, not just one game, I'm talking consistently of people aiming at knees and getting headshots, then we could talk about it.
Okay,
but
sure.
To do it in that scenario of, you also have to think when flinch is applied, a lot of it's on an automatic weapon. If I'm hitting you with a hand cannon, it's bobbing. Right? If I'm hitting you with an SMG, sure, it's going to get to max flinch and stay there. But what if I knee slide into you? Like, I just think that it's a lot of people on Twitter were like, oh, they made them better. There's no way.
There's no way they're better. No, that's wrong.
I've fought so many Arbalists and Lorentz today. One got me, and that's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen with sniper rifle. That's going to happen with anything. One got me. So it is a stupid conversation.
I will say, I mean, cool guy coming in hot.
But dude,
go on.
That can't be your play, though.
Keep going,
can't
bro.
be your game plan to shoot at my knees.
Well, no. Let's be very clear.
I'm moving and you're moving.
The aiming at the knee strategy, I think, is bad. But I do think that a lot of people out there who really want to show that it's still broken, and by all means, please show if it's still broken, because
Let
I
him
hate
do
the
it.
gun. I would vote that shit into the ground repeatedly.
That's my
and
outlook
forever.
too. I hate the gun so much.
Yeah.
I want to learn about it. I want to know exactly what I need to do to beat it.
But I think so the knee strategy I don't think is viable. I think people learning dare I say the word art, learning the counterplay of insta dragging the mouse down, insta dragging the right thumbstick down to compensate for the flinch, that I do worry about. Now, it again, like you mentioned, it will be different depending on the weapon. SMGs and rapid fire pulse rifles, I see being able to shoot that through that probably more
make it easier on them.
Yeah, but with like things like Ace of Spades, anything with explosive payload, that'll probably be more difficult. The timing and the pacing doesn't line up. But then again, anyway, like I understand people's concerns. These weapons have been really annoying for a very long time. So even though a lot of the conversation from afar seems kind of cuckoo regarding the flinch, I know where they're coming from, and I'm kind of waiting to give my full judgment. I want to see what happens in trials this weekend. Yeah. I'm
not leaving it the chance. After what I've learned from just the standing test, if I bring time payload and they can't hit it under the best circumstances,
then we're in trouble.
They're definitely not hitting it in trials.
Then we're in trouble. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to try to do, is build around time payload.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest tell, is how it does this weekend.
Exactly.
Hopefully anomaly. Hopefully it's on anomaly.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Did you guys voted for anomaly, right? Come on, Lego, don't hurt me here.
Anomaly is my favorite map in the game. So.
Oh my man. Or I mean, definitely better than what, Pacifica? God, I'm not a psycho like true Vanguard. I don't like Pacifica. What a crazy person. Lego, what do you feel about the RB driver changes? Enough? Not enough? Too much?
I'm kind of with Cool Guy. Like I saw the clips, and I also equally saw the clips of it being tested with every other kind of weapon. Like, and it, like you were saying, like if somebody's using a submachine gun or an auto rifle, something that's consistently hitting them, then yeah, it's gonna look funky when they're trying to go for that flinch shot. But in a real game where different people are hitting you with different things, somebody's running time payload, or just all the different perks in Destiny, I don't feel like it's going to work out in the favor of RB and Lawrence running around in trials, unless they're doing crazy one-shot stuff still with stuff like your Falcons, which is a concern purely because of light level issues for me. I feel like there is a res check, but it kind of goes out the window when you got stuff like light level in trials. But that's a whole other conversation. But as far as like the flinch changes, it all looks really good to me. I am like you in that I want to see it in trials to make a judgment on it.
Sure.
But it looks good though. I appreciate the changes. It's the one that and some grenade launchers, I guess. So the only thing that not much gets under my skin, but a whole team running RB or Lawrence in trials is one of those things that kind of slowly gets under, crazy. Yeah, but I like this change to see it just change the landscape a little bit about what's out there. Even if they, I don't know, there's something about when Bungie says nerf and half the population is like, like with rangefinder, for instance. Yeah, rangefinder's done for, that 20% aim is a fall off distance, and like there's a whole amazing side of the perk that people forget about. So
for sure. Yeah, I will give Bungie credit at the very least that they were it's kind of like a compliment sandwich here, right? On one side, it's like, hey, they admitted it was a community pain point. Not only did they target it for a season 19 change, but they pushed it up multiple weeks because we were so irritated by it. So thumbs up for that. Although we've been complaining about it for a few years now, so medium thumbs up. I'm like, I'd better late than never.
I mean, better now than never.
Better now than never. I appreciate that.
I'm so glad that they responded to that, and I do think it was successful, to be clear.
It's at the,
I just didn't like
minimum.
the wall test with Vigilance Wing. That's the one that really hit me. Well, I'm like, wait a second, that didn't move.
At minimum,
imagine if I didn't do that test and then got beamed through Vigilance Wing. Like, I'd be furious.
The only thing that bummed me out about it when it first dropped this way was that it didn't come with the sniper change, and we had these weekends of it being so strong and snipers not being, or I guess not as popular. But like, I understand why they didn't do that, because they had all these other changes on top of RB and Lawrence that they were throwing on top of it that probably weren't quite ready yet. I mean, they weren't even planning it to come out this season. So the fact that we got it at all, I'm really happy about.
Sure. Yeah, I think they could. I mean, at very least, it's a step in the right direction. If they look at the numbers, which I'm sure they will, they can make a judgment call maybe as we get closer to season 19, and they, you know what, maybe we didn't go hard enough, go harder. And you know what, if they want to go harder on those weapons, I really could not care any less. Like, just sure.
And they also did the PvE community a 1-up, right?
Yeah.
Gave them receiving flinch better over there.
Yeah. Good
it's
stuff.
A win-win.
Do hit us with your feedback either live in the Twitch chat or later on Twitter, Discord, wherever, about your feedback regarding Arbalist or Lawrence Driver. We'd love to hear from you. Referring over now, unless you guys have more to say on that topic, I feel like we could move right along, but you tell me. No? Good?
It's more Arbalist than Lawrence now. Like, I noticed.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
whatever reason?
do you want to know what a big factor is that?
Sure Falcon.
Do you want to know another big factor in that?
Okay.
There's two. One of them is Sure Falcon, because camo hunter usage exploding lately in high level PvP. High
Forerunner
PvP.
Forerunner.
Also Drang.
Oh yeah.
You can't pair Lawrence Driver with Drang, buddy, but you can pair RB with Drang, and Drang is unholy right now. I knew that it was going to be hot right when I heard that sidearm buff, but I really didn't think that it would be kind of out dueling 140 RPM hand cannons at intended range. It's like, it's absurd. Like, oh my God.
Go.
Like right when the sandbox changed, I went into trials with, I think it was like Arc Titan hand cannon shoddy. And specifically from hand cannon shoddy, I felt like I was just being a complete detriment to my team. Like, the hand cannons feel good. There's nothing wrong with hand cannons. They feel fine, but like,
they're the bar.
They're the bar of feeling good in PvP, but like sidearms just got hit so much on the upswing that like when you lose a last word duel to a Drang, you're like, well, fuck me. Like, and then like I put on hunter camo with Drang Forerunner, and then
it's over. Instant
flawless, like instant 7-0. Like, it was just absurd. It's just it's an interesting time to be a D2 player. But hey, from the November 3rd TWAB, which we have yet to talk about, Bungie gave us a little bit of kind of like a preview for what is next ability-wise with Season 19. So we can either do this as kind of like a 30,000-foot view, or maybe we could do a quick like couple-minute discussion on each maybe bullet point under the TWAB umbrella. You guys feel goodish about that?
Yeah.
Terrific. If you have that link up in the document I sent over, pop that open so we can kind of skim through together. But solar changes, they are making changes to restoration, which I think is good. We don't have Drew here, but Drew was immediately when we heard about all the solar 3.0. I'm jogging my memory a little bit here, but I think Drew predicted very accurately that before healing nades were a thing, he was like, yeah, healing nades are going to be just annoying, like across the board. Very, very strong. And I think anything in D2 PvP that focuses on instant or very quick health regen has historically been a pain point for everyone. Any disagreement there? I feel like I'm thinking like, like
it's very obvious. A pain
Worm
point.
Husk.
Everything but Karnstein.
Everything but Karnstein. Well, Karnstein's risky because especially when back in the day, in the high shotgun meta, you had to get in there.
It's not free. Worm Husk
it's not free. That's right.
The healing free. It's all
free.
Work I mean,
for
it
it.
takes
When you
ability.
say free, it really is free compared to the alternative. If you want to use a damage nade, some nades are easy to land, but you still have to land it. The healing nade, you're not missing that. It's always hitting.
That's a good point. If it's free, it's much more easy to take advantage of. Like, at least with a weapon option like Crimson, You would think that with the healing factor, Crimson would be like super, super, super high use top meta, but no, because it's not as free as just double tapping the dodge button when you have like pre-nerf Wormhusk Crown or something like that.
16-second cooldown, right?
Good lord.
Not only that, but it's not tied to a specific, not just play style, but feel of style. Like some people may not like hand cannons for like Crimson, they may not like the way that particular one feels. Whereas healing nades is just like anybody can throw a nade at their foot.
Literally
like,
anybody.
Yeah.
Just throw a nade straight down. So let's see what else we have here. They are changing Ember of Torches. Radiant base duration reduced from 10 to 8 seconds with a discipline penalty. We've got Ember of Solace with a bonus 50% to radiant duration rather than a flat 5. Nothing really blowing me away right there. I mean, it's fine. I get it.
Expected.
Expected. Totally expected. Knock him down. The changes to Pain. Cool guy. Talk to me about the knock him down Pain.
Well, read it.
Fair enough. Okay, well, we'll give the quick bullet point version here rather than the whole fluff paragraph. Golden Gun now provides 15% bonus damage resistance to Deadshot Golden Gun and no longer provides bonus duration. No longer provides 15% damage resistance to Marksman Golden Gun. Blade Barrage, bonus projectiles reduced from 5 to 3 per group, now releases a total of 20 knives down from 24.
I liked Blade Barrage. Like, Blade Barrage was actually in a spot where it would shut things down. Like, and now I fear it's not going to.
That's your concern, Blade Barrage?
It's never been the best. No, well, because, like I said, once they buffed it, when it had the more knives, it was feasible. Like, I could actually take out a roaming super. And now that they're taking the knives away, which is what it had before, essentially, with bad tracking, it was a dud. So I'm not going to feel as confident in that. And, I'm not really big into, like, of course I was for a little bit, but I mean, the 7th column simulator needed to go.
Dude, every time someone pops a golden gun in PvP, I'm like crying in the corner.
I know.
My eyes are on the clock. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be 40 seconds, huh?
Right.
God, dude, it used to be eyes on the clock, Lamau, crouch in the corner, count to 7, wasted super. And now you're like, well, boys, we're going to team shot. Not all of you are going to make it.
you're like calculating it, kind of like old Behemoth. Yeah. You die to it, and then you're calculating, can it get across the map and still get me before I spawn?
Oh, it surely can.
And like, that's a concern.
But we're on dead cliffs.
Can. Oh my God, yeah. So many clips on Twitter of like, don't get me wrong, I'm like proud. I'm always happy for PvP players because you feel good when it's like a PvP player, super casual, they barely play. They're like, I got a 7th column. And you see the clip and you're like, oh, it's with a golden gun. Well,
Winnie Hunt Juniors.
Well, you got a good for you. Yeah.
Do that on Disjunction. The Sultans.
A 7th column is the 7th column. Like, I'm not gonna do a backflip over the clip, but like, good for you, buddy. Good for you.
I am kind of sad about Blade Barrage, like, cool guy. Like, it's just, I just feel like I'm never gonna see it anymore. Like,
good.
Both sides, PvE and PvP. I'm like, why? Why? I don't know.
If I had $1, I get solo Blade Barrage too much. I'm like a magnet to that. I don't know why. I get solo Blade Barrage all the time. They are drawn to me.
I do too.
Like a moth to the flame.
It's like dealing with a bear. You just like stand still and don't make any sudden motions, and it misses you. All the knives miss. They whiff.
Oh, God. Let's see. Oh, the Celestial Fire change was definitely very funny. How they inadvertently created a situation where you're trying to deal a double melee and you only end up dealing 190 damage. There's something especially funny about that maybe they didn't super think that through. Man, I haven't played a Solar Warlock in a minute.
It's because ever since the Icarus Dash, dude, ever since the change, it's died. Nobody uses it.
I wouldn't say nobody. It's less fun to use, but the potential's still there. You can still see great clips of people on, DTG, Twitter, or whatever, consume
it's
grenade,
still in my main
be a baller.
man. Like,
yeah, it's
AE amazing on it.
Yeah.
I
it's got
started
the
playing more
potential.
controller, and on stream I'm like, I'm giving the Covenant back their bomb, and then just blow up a whole team because you can turn yourself into the Scorch Bomb.
Are you still doing the what is it? The Void helmet, the Astrocyte verse for the extra AE?
This time though, like on
big brain
controller, I wanted to
plays.
try out things I normally don't use, and that was Rain of Fire with Vex Mythoclast.
How
Start stacking up the Radiant and AE.
How is that controller experiment going for you, Cammy?
Pretty good. It's in a way, it's made me a better M&K player because now I'm starting to understand what really throws controller players off. I used to think it was just like, oh, just jump over them, LOL, but it's more than that. There's so many things that break aim assist or make it hard to retrack that when I think about the gunfight from that perspective, it just makes immediate sense what the next best option is.
For sure. That's why I like to play both. I really like to experience the game from both input methods. I feel like it makes me more informed about when I research and talk about all the crap in the sandbox, you know?
You can ask me about that again later and I'll go into detail on like the differences between Vex on controller and M&K and just like some observations.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat about that. Anyway, yeah, Celestial Fire, they're improving the close range melee damage from 90 to 100. So
good on them.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Good for y'all. You hear that, Pure Chill? Your melee is gonna be stronger, buddy. So let me translate for Pure Chill. Shit's gonna be gas, bro. Total gas. All right, moving on to Void. So let's skim through here. We got the old Void Overshield. Apparently there's an issue where in PvE it was only providing 25%.
I'm sorry. When I first read that in the TWAB and saw a bullet point of Void Overshield, in my brain I went, finally.
Yeah, but it was not what you expected, right?
I wasn't thinking PvE.
Dude, man, yeah, so I read that one little bullet point and I was like, dude, you're telling me that Void Overshield Titans are getting off scot-free in season 19? Like that, am I wrong? Like Void Titan is really strong in 3v3 PvP right now. It's super strong.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like if you're a new player and you want to play Trials, you're like, what should I play? I have two answers for you. One would be Camo Hunter with the Jerk Falcon, and the other would be a Void Titan with 100 Resil, 100 Intellect, because then you get Overshield Barricade spam and you get the first super on the field with that goddamn bubble. Yeah, I cannot believe it is getting off scot-free in season 19. Can't believe it. The Lego, do you do a lot of Trials on the regular or kind of only when there's good loot around? And if so, what do you run into a lot?
I love Trials. I love this, like, even if I don't have anybody on, like I get my one run in or whatever, like I love even playing solo in the solo flawless like pool, like all of it. Just for the challenge. I don't know, it's just fun, and to see what other people do and to see how to react, like my reactions to what the blueberries are doing that I'm playing with, even against good teams. It's just interesting what happens and what you can learn and adapt to. But yes, Titans, they are, I totally agree, getting off scot-free here. And they're so fast, they can play it both ways. They can set up immediately barricades in the center of the map, or they promote super passive play. And if it's like you said, a new player coming into Trials, they just sit back because there's no downside to doing that other than just getting your super fast before everybody else. So yeah, it's rough. It's really strong.
Yeah, I agree.
I like how they added like the over under perk, because it seems like that would be an answer to Void Overshield. But when you really think about it, it doesn't really change much.
Yeah,
because you could be using something like high impact reserves to shave your TTK off of it anyway, and the overall kill.
Yeah,
that's true.
Void Walker, and it would be. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
impact
ahead.
Reserves would be beneficial in every situation, so it's like, why wouldn't
and
I
not just that's what it's missing. I think over under needs to do maybe something else, maybe help break barricades or something, just the overall experience,
or just maybe you could just shoot right through barricades.
Yeah,
now that would be sexy. Nova Bomb Vortex getting a buff with a stronger suck factor.
Good.
Good. Yeah, I'm sure the 3 Nova Bomb Voidwalker mains out there are jumping for joy with that change.
Things are looking up, Millhouse.
Sentinel Titans are getting changed to their shield bash with the improved reliability of applying suppression. Sure, yippee skippy.
Not only did they get off easy, they
I
got
know.
a buff.
Jesus
Got a
Christ,
buff.
dude. Jesus Christ.
Good for them.
Let's see. We got the changes. Oh yeah, the changes to Tether. Shadow Shot Deadfall. Increased Tether Anchor lifetime when triggered from 8 to 12. And Morbius Quiver. Reduced Tether Anchor lifetime when triggered from 8 to 6. Sure. Trying to just better define the roles of each tether. Why not?
Shout out to Cool Guy's Shadow Shot dodge this week. That was
that was a great clip.
Incredible.
Oh yeah,
just kind of matrix dodging through the quiver. It's pretty tight, bro.
You know, when I read this, it's like, okay, you know, Shadow Shot Deadfall increased tether anchor lifetime. Like that's cool. And like they go on. Meanwhile, the paragraph right above for Shield Bash, improved reliability of applying suppression. So whatever we're doing, like to improve the reliability of applying suppression, can we just throw that on the tether too? Like,
yes.
Because a lot of people get off pretty easy versus tether, dude.
Yeah, they
very,
do.
very easy. Yeah.
And it's been so long of that too, that it's been this way where it's just kind of like it's just a risky super to use. You never know if it's actually gonna activate when you want it to.
Dude, D1 over, dude. Like when a tether was on you, didn't matter what you had. You were done or you were suppressed. One of the two. And it's never felt that way in D2.
No. Bungie makes a very particular point in the TWAB, which I will now read. Let's take a moment to address the elephant in the room. We know invisibility is currently a severe pain point in high-level PvP. True. We don't have any plans to announce today, but we're looking at longer-term solutions to address the difficulty encountering a full team of invisible Night Stalkers. We made a few changes across updates 6.0.0.4 and 6.1.0 to make refreshing invisibility more punishing by implementing a radar ping loop to give victims a better understanding of where they may be attacked from, but we don't believe we addressed the problem strongly enough. Definitely not. We are investigating additional solutions to make invisible players less frustrating to run into without compromising their elusive gameplay style. Now, here's a moment where I really wish that Drew were around, because Drew always has something to chime in with regarding Hunter camo and invis.
His main radar manipulation is his main goal.
That's his spiel, yeah.
That's his deal. And I understand that. And we'd have the same conversation that we've like. I don't know what's the actual visibility. I mean, did we talk about that last time? I know I talked about it on Twitter.
I don't think we talked about it
but
too
you can
much.
hit it again.
It goes in waves. It goes in waves. I mean, I was looking back at some previous seasons. Like there is a very easy on the eyes little purple haze on them. They're like a little cloud just going through. Now and like so, and let's remember in Beyond Light, they made some engine changes with the lighting. It started there.
Dude, it's crazy how different the lighting is, and the Hunter camo is so much stronger on some maps when you just look.
Yeah, it's a contrast.
It's bad. Not to completely cut you off, cool guy, but like for example, like Shores of Time or whatever, when you're in that little like that dark little hallway and you come out towards where the capture point is, like near B on Shores, and you just come out and you're like you it's like looking into the sun, like you can't see anything, and like if a camo hunter is there, I think it's over.
There's a Eternity with the white background, and then sometimes it has like purple/pink lights,
horrible,
and you just never could have seen it.
Yeah, so like that would be where I would hope that I would start there, like get that haze back, do something. I mean, I don't know, obviously I'm not a dev, right? I mean, I don't know what that entails, how much time that would take. But there is a clear difference of where they were no more than a year and a half ago than where they are right now. So honestly, if they get the visibility back up, I'm going to feel a lot better about it.
Another point, two points that I would like to see addressed, or maybe it's just one point. No, it's two. The frequency of how much you can apply camo, like it's so frequent. I think we counted, like, when I was on stream the other day, if you have tier 10 mobility and if you have utility kickstart, double utility kickstart, which costs 1 energy each, by the way. Holy God, why has that not been changed in forever? You are camo for a number of seconds and then it goes away. And then I think you have to wait 4.5 to maybe 5 seconds max. And then you can just re-dodge and go full camo again. And you can just keep doing that. Like,
and that's what the fragment applied to, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure you could probably, if you were a real psycho, you could probably have a team composition. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there are other exotics that if your teammates wanted to put on, it's like, oh, nearby allies probably get their ability back faster or something like that. If you wanted to be a real psycho,
I mean, you can loop that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you one Omni and a Jerk Falcon or something like that. It's just
So
like you can do it so much.
You don't even need any of that. Like if you just run, like, because this is like my thing too. I'm not Drew by any means, but radar manipulation is my favorite thing in the game for I guess the past like 3 seasons. Yeah. And Graviton Forfeit lets you be invisible forever. Like there's no downtime between your melees. If you do what you said, run the double kickstarts, run everything on your class item, you're literally invisible the entire game. So there's no downsides to do it. Just now everybody's doing it. It has always been strong, even before Witch Queen. It's just
for sure.
I would argue it was stronger in the past.
It was, yeah.
So good.
And there's the other route, no dodge. You still have to smoke at your feet, right? Mm-hmm. So it's funny that they, I've read that paragraph a couple times.
Okay.
Because they're obviously having issues with it. They've had issues with it. So, the question now is, what are we going to do about it?
It's a great question. Community question that we pulled from Twitter. We've already addressed a couple of the questions by just chatting like we normally do. But shout out to G Brew on Twitter, who wanted to know 2 questions. 1, what kind of changes would you want to be made to Hunter Invis to make it fair without killing it? And 2, do you think armor ability regen mods are a problem in the Crucible? So, do we have any cool guy? You got a theory on point 1 there? What are we going to do about it?
Like it's a lose-lose. Like let's establish that they're gonna adjust it, right? So don't get mad at me or anybody for suggesting things. It's gonna happen,
get mad,
right?
Cool guy,
and nobody's gonna be 100% happy, right? Somebody's gonna get upset. So, if they look at things like duration, we'll even say, because we have our variable cooldowns. Like, what if Vanishing Step was a 45-second cooldown, right? Mm-hmm. What if it couldn't be spammed every 18 seconds, right? So that's one thing they could do, but then that's not so cool for PvE. Like, I don't like that too much, right? So like that's the balance that they play. Then there's things like, what if in a perfect world, it did on a 10th of the scale of what Gemini Gestures does? If you want radar manipulation, what if it almost concussed your screen but came right back, right? Not staying like Gemini for 8-10 seconds.
For a while, yeah.
But what if it just almost scrambled your radar? Like literally scrambled your radar.
It'd still be
for
really strong, but that's an
second.
interesting idea, yeah.
Yeah, but if they did that, and that would go a little bit longer cooldown. There's so much that they could do.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
You also have to remember, it is the only character on the only class that does this one thing, right? And it has been strong for this long. So they say that they don't want to, take it away, which I agree. Like, they shouldn't absolutely destroy it. But it's been every area of the game, PvE, PvP, Gambit, brother. Like, everywhere you go, Invis is extremely useful.
That's very good.
Honestly, and what I'm getting ready to say, I think it's time to actually innovate invisibility. So what I mean by that is doing things like that with the scramble radar, like make it do what it does, but in a different way. I think that can be done without literally, non-opaque or see-through, can't see them on certain maps, the way that it is. I think that it can be innovated into something just as cool, but different. So I don't know.
And I 100% think that those armor mods are... I cannot believe that we have gone this far into the lifespan of utility kickstart.
It's on all my hunter classes. It's on all my classes, period.
Every hunter build is like mandatory utility kickstart on the cape. Mandatory. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I see like two different approaches to take to the invisibility. Like what I would personally want is for the invisibility aspect, like visually in PvP, to just be gone. Like for it to just only be radar manipulation, and it would, to the point where like I would be okay if it was just like it made you actually shine because you were off radar. Like visually, there was a flare about you that made you easier to see because your radar manipulation in and of itself is so strong in this game. So I would push it back that far. It wouldn't mess up PvE because those people could still be invisible to the PvE enemies. It doesn't matter visually what you look like, just something like way on the far end, because right now the visual aspect of it is just so detrimental to people who don't even have good screens. Like if you don't have a top of the line monitor that you're playing with, you're going to have a harder time than other people who have good rigs to even see the invisible player to begin with. So that's like one thing that I would
I'm in full agreement with that. Just keep it simple. The radar manips what makes it strong. The visibility, transparency is what makes it annoying.
Counter spy plane above.
Yeah. So
they could also experiment with other exotics to maybe weaker used invis one. It actually lets you be transparent. Maybe you become more visible if you start sprinting or moving fast, but that exotic negates that penalty.
That would be cool. I like
so
that a lot.
and also you know, let's remember the rules of invisibility. The only way that they are revealed is if they do, and I've never been on board with that. But then again, you know, you keep the game through PvE and the Crucible the same, but like, how is it that you could get to one shot with multiple shots in you, but the moment that you throw a grenade, you can be seen? Like that, it just, I don't know.
Oh, you're saying get shot, you're visible again? Yeah, that makes sense.
If anything, like I'd be okay with what you were saying. You know, like what if, you know, you started popping, being visible, then going back invisible? Like that would be a cool dynamic, honestly. And then like if they get away, they just slowly get invis again and run away. Like that's cool.
As far as the radar manip goes, with just pure invisibility, it's at a sweet spot right now, where if it were any lower, it would be unusable for me.
Yeah.
But if it were any larger, it would be unplayable for not organized teams, like uncounterable.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's what made it so strong in previous seasons before they had the blip, right? Is that it was so long of being off radar that it was just incredibly strong. There was, you just had so many options available to you with what? It was like up to like 12 seconds of being off radar before.
It wasn't just the seconds, it was the rules of it. You could full sprint and then still maintain it. So you're traveling more distance in a shorter time. On top of it being longer, you could realistically graviton forfeit around the entire map and get behind them. You can't do that anymore. What is it, 6 seconds max that it has now? And you have to be crouched while doing it. That's only like a really slight fakie, but that still means the world to me. It still makes the difference.
Yeah, totally with you. The second option that I was thinking too was along what Cool Guy was saying, where they just like reinvent it into something else because it only has that one thing. So what if you kept that thing but put limitations on it, like Fallout was saying, where it was really hard. You had to like really spec into it, really sacrifice something, because right now everybody's doing it. And I'm not just talking an exotic, like it would maybe be an exotic, but maybe like more than that. Like you're giving up a big part of the subclass and then give it something else, like a new identity that's exciting that people want to use, instead of only clinging onto the invisibility, because you have to cling onto the invisibility as that class, it just ties your hand behind your back to where you can't nerf it. Like you can't, because then the class is unusable. So
God,
yeah,
it's so
that's all
rough walking.
You're using it because of tether. Like
you're not. We get into so many of these awkward situations because of the need for each class to have an identity. And it's like, well, we have to have hunters be the sneaky, stealthy, creepy boys. Like, we can't just remove camo from the game. Oh, it's like, I don't know. I feel like we are constantly getting into these situations where we're trying to remain faithful to the class identity. And it's kind of like these hidden kind of handcuffs, which are restraining some potentially very vital, necessary changes to the sandbox. But I don't know. What do I know?
I was going to say, I think there's a room for a lot of creative solutions where they can create a bunch of penalties to invis and then have each of the invis exotics take away one of those penalties. Like maybe universally you get a damage resistance hit where you take 5% more damage for being invisible, but Omni is the only one that brings it back to 0 type thing.
I like it.
Could be more than that. They can always tune that dial to make it risky to use invis. It could take away your own radar when you're invis, but let you have the real long flanks again.
You know, and I wish that there were more options like the scopes on weapons. And what am I thinking about? The Warlock helm. Yeah,
I have another world. I use both together, and it still feels like not enough sometimes.
Yeah, you know, just to highlight them a little bit more.
Even like foe tracers should do the highlight, not just necessarily the tracking, but actually outline people. That would be super useful and tip me to maybe using that over other options.
Yeah. I mean, they're almost. I remember Fang of Iryut. I need that to come back, dude.
That was such a wild bird, like that green highlight above him.
In case no one. So in Destiny 1, there's a scout rifle. It's perk, right? It's perk. Was, you know, you start tagging something in the head, it will literally put a dial above the enemy, right? So it was cool because, you know, in raids, you'd be like, yeah, you know, you need to shoot at this one, especially when there are no comms. But like in PvP, it still worked. Like whenever you shot somebody in the head, a little arrow would go over their head.
Classic.
Oh, you know what's wild? Revisit Destiny 1 with your current knowledge of invis. It is wildly strong because you just got to crouch on Arc Strider and you just get invis. Then there was Capri Sting that worked for everything.
Yeah.
Oh God, y'all are sending me back. Let's see. Yeah. Well, so do we think that Bungie is probably going to bring a bunch of announcements for? Do we think season 19 or do we think Lightfall? What do we?
It's got to be Lightfall
for Invis. For Invis.
I think that they would have been a little bit. They sounded very uncertain, dude. I don't envy them at all. Like it's a delicate thing.
Which also indicates that they're probably doing something big. Like some of the things we talked about here were pretty would require massive changes to the subclass.
What we were talking about, yeah, for sure.
And because otherwise they would have announced like, hey, we're looking. Maybe they wouldn't announce what they were doing, but it would have come sooner. Like small incremental changes to how long you're invis, like the highlight, like how bright the void purple highlight is around it. Like they would have done something, but it seems like they're doing something bigger.
For clarity, I don't know if it needs to be said, but when I say like a simple suggestion, that does not mean the execution is simple. Could still require months of manpower.
Simple on paper.
Simple on paper, easy concept, but not easy to execute.
Sure.
Look inside your mind's eye.
Moving on to Arc, they are going to be doing a little tweaking to the Touch of Thunder Storm Grenade.
Let's go.
Which has been kind of like my go-to across the board for all. I don't know how much PvE y'all have been playing in season 18. Like I am straight up addicted to Arc 3.0.
That backpack's PvE right now.
It's hard backpack, bro.
Yeah, I got a divinity and a bow strictly on like barrier and our overload duty. And meanwhile, he's just yeeting out back to back storm grenades. And he has like 160 kills. I have like 14. He's like, what are you doing over there? I'm like, oh. All
right, I'm on a tangent here. Have y'all played Nightfalls, like Master Nightfalls, with the Lightning Crystal mod? It's a daily rotating mod that shows up sometimes.
Yes.
I am not exaggerating. You have 0 cooldown.
Unlimited grenade throwage. Yeah, it's literally unlimited. Like you can just keep throwing them forever.
I took a baby free-to-play account with just storm nades on that Lightning Crystal mod. It is still free.
Good call. But yeah, they're going to. Oh, go ahead.
Gambit as well. I was just gonna say, I don't know who's doing that, but storm nades and Gambit, because you have them up so frequently because of PvE stuff, just throwing that into enemy area, not just PvE areas, but like
you eat them across the map and you just get the Slayer medal or whatever.
It's wild. Yeah, so they're going to be tweaking that a little bit, both in the duration, the roaming duration, the extra bonus from Spark of Magnitude, and they're going to.
There's only one part that disappoints me about that. Did y'all know they pierce bubbles?
Really?
If you throw a storm nade at the top of a bubble, it will pierce inside.
I was gonna say, do you have to throw it
forces them out
at the right? You have to hit the bubble in the right area.
Yeah, at the top of it, the very, very apex.
Interesting. Okay, I will have to practice that.
And it jolts too. So if there's 3 in there, it guaranteed kills. But if it's
really
only 1, you get them weak enough that they're just a normal Titan, and you can just outgun them.
Okay, Cammy. Okay, Cammy. I'll see you, bro. And they're gonna try to do something with the visual effect to make it more quickly identifiable as a teammate grenade or an enemy grenade.
Have they done that with sunspots yet?
Yes.
Like enemy versus team?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe I think they have. I think it's
almost everything in the game has this red outline if it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like 90% sure that they've done that with sunspots. But it's harder to tell IMO than with an arc.
Definitely.
Yeah, with the storm grenades, like you literally just run.
Yeah.
The other way.
Yeah.
Improving ballistic slam damage in PvE.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Insurmountable slam, dude.
Yeah. That's my gambit. That's my gambit.
That's the way, dude. It's gonna be. I saw that. I was like, "There's a couple insurmountable mains out there. They're smiling.
They're having a good time." The Tempest Strike, aka the cool guy melee, more damage in PvE by 30%.
Just so everyone knows on what you can do with that strike, it does count as a singular melee. So if you run Liar's Handshake with it, your follow-up melee will be the cross counter melee. So you could go into a group and throw the melee out and just tag someone, and then just find someone else and one tap them. And things against bubbles, you could come from the outside to go inside the bubble, hit him with the strike, and then immediately follow up. And I don't know if you've ever hit a very high health target that won't die. What you do is you actually will send them flying like 50 yards into walls. So like that's what you can do with that cross counter.
Always fun.
Oh, super cool melee.
Bungie apparently wanting to go kind of all in on the Arc Buddy in season 19. And like first I was kind of having a little bit of a heart attack. I was like, oh god, like picturing a PvP meta where everybody and their mother has like a little Arc bro right here. And I kind of freaked out. But okay, they're talking about for PvE, which is like, okay, interesting. I don't know if I can ever envision a world where it's like, okay, we're going into a raid. We want to melt the boss. Do we have like 5 Arc Buddies? Like,
I know, dude. It's the Arc Buddy DPS strat, man.
I don't know if I can ever picture that. I'm not going to
call it best in slot. It feels like an accessibility move for me because it occurred to me when running GMs that I could have a really lazy loadout of Tiku's Divination and Arc Souls, be severely under light, and yet contribute to the clear without skipping a beat. Like seriously, as long as I mark them with Tiku and give Arc Souls to the 2 Storm Titans, it's free. It's like it doesn't matter if I'm 0 light level or max, I'm still contributing.
Cool. Get you amplified.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Stormcaller melee, improving the travel range on the ball lightning to 35 meters, up from 27.5.
That's a deep melee,
That's a deep melee, bro.
That is a deep melee.
It's pretty goddamn deep. And chain lightning increased damage only in PvE, but by 50%. It's kind of a big number right there. But I just more of a passive thing to maybe encourage more Arc Warlock bros and PvE content.
Oh, I see a big one there, Fallout. I already have like some PTSD here.
Are you are you talking about the next bullet point?
Yeah. Let's hear that.
Yeah, they mentioned we've been keeping an eye around Chaos Reach, which has felt underwhelming across PvE and PvP. Good. The change made last year to Geomag is a contributor, but we're also conservative with Chaos Reach's base cooldown with the 30th anniversary tuning pass because it was the source of extremely negative sentiment in PvP during season 15. So what they're going to do is they're changing the base cooldown time on Chaos Reach from 9:16 to 7:35. I am really not... It's not sitting well with me.
I remember instances on Stadia where Fallout goes, I have this really cool loadout. I'm so excited to use it. 3 games in, All right, we're going to Chaos Reach.
Fuck it.
And then we never drop a game from there.
Cammy and I were, it was literally like an arms race when Cammy and I would go into season 15 trials together. Because we're like, okay, we want to have fun and not be slaves to the meta. So we're like, we're going to use fun stuff. And then the other team is like, as soon as you find one team that is going triple chaos reach, we're like, fuck it. All right, we're doing it. Put on Dynamo. Get out the grenade launcher with with threat detector on it.
Run in a circle with the boots.
Run in a circle. Oh, God. I do think that, yeah, Geomag was a big factor. And it won't be as big of a factor with Geomag being nerfed, but still not thrilled about seeing the cooldown dropped that much. 735.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Like, why is that number so massive?
I don't know. Like, I just don't want to ever be in a situation again where things in trials are playing kind of slow and people are just kind of holding in the back of the map in order to lock up their chaos reach and then just kind of run in and do their thing. I'm sure you'll see an uptick in that.
That's definitely a dial they can turn, but that's one that really concerns me.
It's 735, right?
735.
You could already cancel the super early and maintain it, so you have better economy for the second super.
So that's a tier 4.
Tier 4. Yeah, it's tier 4.
So it's a 5-minute 48 tier 10. The first thing I thought of, I mean, especially with the traces and how you can get certain things going, maybe with some different mods, it's the Scepter, dude. The Scepter lock is going to be stupid.
I love Aegis Scepter, one of my favorite weapons.
Yeah.
I'm having a brain fart right now.
On?
The Interceptor. What the hell's the Interceptor?
So the Scepter.
Aegis
Scepter.
Oh.
The ice gun.
Sorry, the Cammy Scepter.
Yeah, Chaos Reach the gun.
Yeah, the Cammy Scepter. Yeah. I've only seen Cammy really use that weapon, and I
have a video titled "I'm gonna tell my kids this is what Night Stalker used to be." That's the one with Aegis Scepter.
Dude, you used to
go Invis.
Oh my God.
Remember, we talked about how Tether was bad already.
Yeah.
I just used it to replace Tether.
Just use it, sure.
Now I have a good super.
I did the same thing. It's such a good
super
replacement for the super. Just even if you're not using Aegers, you can just switch to it between rounds and trials.
That is
like,
true.
well, here's my super.
That is true.
And
there's one thing I wanted to see in this ARC 3.0 list that wasn't there. I love Flux Grenade. It doesn't kill Overshield Titan. So if they just throw their barricade anywhere on the map and you stick them with the Flux, in your head you're like, all right, I hit the skill shot. They're done. They're going to be mad. And then they just survive.
Oh God. Well, chat, we're gonna keep an eye on that. Not really sure. I'm definitely not looking forward to that change, but I do believe that Bungie is aware of how quickly it could spiral out of control, mainly because they mentioned it in that TWAB. So here's hoping that we don't have a repeat of season 15 PvP.
And then
go ahead.
And there's some great quality of life updates for stasis.
Yeah, Bungie goes on to mention that. Oh, did we lose Lego? What happened?
Nope. I'm still here.
Telesto.
But your camera, it's all yellow.
Telesto.
Oh, it struck again. That's okay, as long as we can still hear you.
Yeah.
So Bungie has no intention of returning stasis to its original potency at the launch of Beyond Light, but they do want to make some changes. For the slow effect, they are increasing the movement speed penalty when slowed by 10%, which not wild, but I still think that stasis is really good. It kind of slept on. I think that it's really strong. I don't know. Every time we bring up how some new 3.0 kit has something new that they can tinker with or fiddle around with, and cool guys like, yeah, you know what shits on it though? Like,
you know what shuts them down?
Stasis.
Shadebinder.
Yeah,
Shadebinder.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Strand, man. I see Indiana Jones on the grappling hook with the whip and then just gets frozen, falls off the map.
Hey, dude, you know what's gonna be glorious? When, like, say there's something going on, I guarantee you, like, out of the darkness, the one thing that will shut it down will be Shadebinder, dude. I'm telling you.
Probably.
Cool guys sitting in the dark right now. Let me tell you about the dark subclasses.
Cold Snap Grenade. The Seeker can now adjust its trajectory for half a second after creation rather than immediately finding a target and traveling towards their last known position. So
That's so good.
it's
That's
really good.
So
yeah, I don't
good.
think people realize how good that is going to be. It's like, dude, I already, sometimes when I get frustrated, I go to double cold snap Shadebinder just to be like,
Osmio lock.
the
Man.
Osmio lock is really good.
The crazier part
It's
is
gonna be
Hunter
better.
gets the enhanced cold snap. A lot of people forget about
Yeah.
I
that.
know they do.
And
yeah. I just
It makes
like
a
the double.
baby crystal after it's used, and that is the
Also
difference
true.
maker. At least you're getting mileage even if you miss it. So definitely revisit that after this change.
For sure.
You know what?
What?
For those GMs, I want to run Osmio Shadebinder. Let's do it tomorrow. In the GMs, dude.
You want to?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
dude.
move.
Are we
think it's gonna be great.
are we GMing tomorrow?
Why not?
Shit. Okay. Sure. Yeah. What time?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Let's go early. All right. Okay. Duskfield Grenade. Okay. They're going to increase the slow stack application rate on players by 13%. Combined with the slow change, not too shabby if you're one of the few remaining Duskfield Hunter mains out there, right?
For those that know its potency, they're like, why would they improve it? It's already
Yeah,
crazy. I
that's
think
what I
the
was
answer
thinking,
is
yeah.
they see an uptick of Thruster and Icarus Dash, and I guess Hunter Dodge. And it's
Yeah,
kind of
maybe.
easy to avoid it at a certain point. It does cost an ability, but still,
Yeah.
I could see how they do it, even though it is so strong.
Yeah.
think that's-
Oh, go ahead.
No, the next thing is really cool that they had, for Behemoth Titan, they're adding another fragment for Cryo, and for Revenant Hunter, Winter Shroud.
Yeah.
That's really big.
That's big for sure.
That changes things for me.
Yeah.
I've been playing controller, and that completely changes the way I want to approach console.
Does it make you want to put on a Revenant Hunter or a Behemoth Titan
Behemoth.
a little bit more? Yeah, Behemoth.
Yeah. The Cryo specifically.
Still a great thing to do, for sure.
Short answer is like you have to face the camera where you want shoulder charge to go on controller, but with the Behemoth melee, you just send it.
Yeah.
So it really incentivizes me for movement reasons to play that class.
For Shadebinder, they are reducing the cooldown on Stasis Shard creation from 15 to 10. Which is like, I'm not sure if I'm jumping for joy about that one, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Whisper of
Okay.
Rending. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is really interesting.
This is definitely very interesting. They are now providing bonus damage to stasis crystals and, key part here, frozen targets for all primary ammo weapons rather than just kinetic primary ammo weapons. That I find very interesting.
Fighting Lion, baby. We're one big enough. Goodbye, supers.
Oh, that would be kind of wild.
No, you know what I immediately thought of?
Do tell.
Like, is there a world where we're gonna have an Osmiomancy, Shadebinder, with Rending here with the Cryosthesia?
I love Cryosthesia. I loved it
that-
before the sidearm buff. It is very, very good. Very slept on
So-
weapon for sure.
It now provides bonus damage to stasis crystals for all primary ammo weapons rather than just kinetic. So they're throwing in stasis right there, right? Or
Yeah.
am I hearing that just completely wrong?
Yeah, that counts.
Mhm.
So if Rending is going to be getting bonus damage, you could freeze someone with Cryo and get good damage on their crystal, on their frozen body.
Correct.
Yes.
So
Correct.
that could be insane.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
Yeah, that's actually cash money. When you get that kill, potentially you could kind of rechain
Loop
it a
it.
little bit. You just loop it. It's something
It's
that
gonna be
you
a-
should keep an eye on. It could be
It's gonna be it's gonna be a bloodbath. Man.
it could be a thing for sure.
That's very interesting.
If people start jumping on stasis, that is.
Which
feel like
I think they might, depending on how hard they go after camo hunters in either season 19
Yeah.
or in Lightfall, depending on
Yeah.
how
I
hard
have
they
my
go.
doubts. The last time I was certain people would play Stasis was when the gloves provided the DR in the dust field. Like even just reading that description, I was like, well, that's gonna take over the Crucible. I feel like stasis has always been so strong. There's no way this is going to be the change that pushes people to main it.
Yeah.
Here, we've got time for just a few questions here. The good news is, again, we've kind of handled the bulk of the talking points that were brought up on Twitter, but let's go through a specific short stack here very quickly. From Jimbo Slice, any comments on Warlocks feeling lackluster compared to pre-abilities 3.0? Any?
I'll take it.
Go for it. Yeah.
So are we talking about PvP, PvE?
You can handle it however you wish.
So PvP, what the Warlock is strong with is still strong with, right? Things like moving Devourer to an exotic, things like taking away the second dodge hurt the overall, like, why people played them.
Yeah.
And then, like, a lot of people are getting upset about Ophidians. Like, what do you want Warlocks to use, dude? There's like 3, 4, right? We have the steps.
They need better things to compete with the.
Yeah, so like I
Ophidians,
don't really blame PvP players using a handling exotic for over, let's say, I don't know. It's so specific with its exotics, right?
Yeah.
Like Osmio, and let me just look at some of them. Like some passive, like they're good. But most of them, they're very specific to a thing. Nezarec need void weapons, things like that. I mean, what do you expect them to use? So
I still think it should be nerfed.
I just don't like the melee lunge. And this isn't like I want Warlocks to be weaker. It's like, I'm looking at Titan and Hunters too. I don't like the teleport melee lunge on anything.
I hate that. Oh, it drives me crazy when I get killed by that.
Especially for like activating knockout or just hitting your dodge. If it was a kill requirement or something, or an exotic requirement like Syntheseps, at least I can stomach that. But Ophidians has so much on it that it makes me wonder, like, why not give that to Winter's Guile or Karnstein or something, and then give Ophidian aspect something else, like a little more AE in return.
That's fair. But I have heard from a lot of people that they're kind of underwhelmed with current Warlock performance after the entire sweeping 3.0 thing. So.
What do you think, Lego?
I was just thinking about how I don't play a ton of Warlock. It's probably like my least played thing, but the arc new stuff for them, and I know Warlocks themselves were like kind of like, I wish we got as big of a buff as everybody else did, but it's been the most appealing for me just in terms of like the feel of the gameplay and how cool everything looks, which I know is in PvP sometimes a roll your eyes kind of thing, but feel can be everything. Like it can be the reason that we have these things like invisibility that they want to stick to as like the theme of a class because they feel good for those kind of players. So it's been the thing that's drawn me in most out of all the subclasses is the arc Warlock stuff. And it's the only one, which, we were talking about exotics, which yes, there aren't as many that are like generally just good, like something you throw on for everything, but they do have the only exotic that gets you amplified on demand, which is really awesome. Like I'm jealous of that as a Titan. If I could get amplified on demand, I could do some nasty stuff with weapons that people don't use very much, using that on demand amplified stuff. So I do appreciate certain aspects of it, but I can see why there are people who feel that it's lackluster. And then on the other hand, I've got like stasis Warlocks are just so incredibly strong right now. Like it is the counter to anything else that is annoying in the Crucible. Along with, every other class running stasis, but Warlock stasis in particular, like you were talking about Osmomancy. I know that's very specific, but that's how I kind of feel about it. Is I'm a little jealous because I don't play Warlock as much, and Rain of Fire too. Like Henry was talking about earlier, like that is a specific thing too. But man, do I wish I had something like Rain of Fire on my Titan or my Hunter.
Yeah.
Is it Warlock being weak or Hunter and Titan being a little too easy right now?
I think it's a mixture of both for sure.
Then a second thing, on the subject of amplified, I almost feel like it's a penalty, not a benefit in a lot of cases for me.
What does it throw off your muscle memory when you run and jump and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the higher jump hurts me
too.
more than helps me. You could throw on what's the gun? Acreus to purposely lower your jump height to make it a lot more usable and maintain the slide.
I honestly will move and then like dead stop. So this is a sprinting bonus.
Yeah.
I make sure that goes away because like the swap is where it's at, right? That's why I like amplified. But
Sure.
Yeah. But then
I
on
almost
the
feel
flip
like it needs.
side,
Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say on the flip side, I'm so obsessed with lightweight weapons now that that's half of the battle of getting amped anyway. That's half the speed of amped right there. So what, other than the handling, the swapping weapons and everything, that I don't know, it lessens the draw of all the benefits of amplified for me, and it makes it more open to where like, I could just use this other class for it. I'm using a lightweight weapon, whatever.
It's very subtle things that make these classes not first pick for me. Like the Warlock melee is super powerful, but it only goes where your camera is pointing. So you can't even use it as like an evasion tool, which kind of fits the theme of Arc 3.0, like you could with a Hunter Dodge or a Thruster. And so then I look at the alternative. If I want that playstyle, I just play top Dawn Blade equivalent, whatever that is now. It just seems like it's a better overall pick for anything except the gimmick of going for the melee. And that gimmick is really strong, by the way. But just for the hypermobile playstyle that Arc 3.0 Titan gets, I don't think Warlock lives up to it. I think Solar Warlock does it better.
That's fair. One more question before we wrap things up, because this topic is kind of interesting to me. So shout out to Phil Dury there on Twitter. Phil Dury, thank you. Phil writes, there's been talk about mobility being pointless and putting hunters at a disadvantage compared to having high res or recovery like the other two classes. How do you feel about mobility affecting sprint speed? It could also help make some exotics feel less mandatory. How do we feel about mobility right now? Because I feel like on Titan and Warlock, I'm always trying to like lower it as much as I can to make my armor spike in the other directions, because my Warlock and Titan doesn't care about mobility, but the Hunter does. Any thoughts there? Like, aren't you a Hunter main?
Yes, I am.
How do you feel about that? He's in deep thought.
I think I can convey it. I like mobility as a stat. I value it because of the strafe speed, especially now playing controller a little bit more. Helps you position and get your shot a little more specific. But I do think they could give it a bonus. I mean, a couple points of AE for speccing into 10 makes sense. A couple extra points.
That might be nice. I just feel like recovery and Resil offer, especially Resil now. It used to be like, oh, Titans have to build into Resil. Lucky Warlocks, they get recovery. It's one of the most important stats for PvP, right? But now it's like, oh, Resil is actually really spicy right now too for both PvE and PvP. It's kind of super spicy.
It's full circle, dude. Like them tying the class abilities to those stats. You're right. Like it doesn't matter on a Titan. It doesn't matter, but like you need it, and that's why you're seeing the invis, right? I mean, you're tier 10 mobility, yet you want your class ability is fast as can be every 14 seconds. You're seeing invis all the time. But as far as it also leads me to believe, since we do see what is happening with the Arc 3.0 amplified, that there is a possibility of a scalar, right? Like it looks like we can have different levels of sprint speed. I mean, that'd be fine. But then we'd have, amplified invis boys everywhere. So, I mean, what are we going to do with that?
What are you going to do?
Yeah, I feel like there's too much of a give and take. Like it makes things be less unique once you start adding sprint speed to, like, yes, it adds more options, but like you said, like then everybody meeting in the same place without, I don't know. I feel like I could go either way about it. It's just one of those things. It's like, we're just going to adapt to it. I'm not sure that it's worse or better. And I do feel like it is pointless on certain classes because of the way this is spec'd out. It's just a default. You just need mobility as a hunter, and that's just the way that it is. Could they change that and it'd be fine too? Yeah. Well, is it fine now? It's okay.
Also remember that there's no bigger, well, I mean, maybe no, like there's no bigger winner of radiant light powerful friends than the hunter, dude. Because the hunter getting the plus 20 mobility, I mean, how are you getting that
on that for sure?
How are you getting that on Titan, right? How are you getting your resilience up with mods on your armor?
Yeah, it is true. You have to do it the old-fashioned way, but I guess it kind of is a balance. But interesting point. Not sure how else to You still trying to
I feel-
brainstorm here?
Well, I just feel like if you go down that road, then you have to look at things like quick charge too, that are giving crazy handling to SMGs and fusions and shotguns, but there's no other weapon that has those kind of mods. There's just like these very specific things that help these specific weapons. It's just a similar road, I feel like, whenever you go down, well, powerful friends help, specifically Hunter, Radiant Light, specifically Hunter.
And I want to point out, because we did have a quick mention in the Twitch chat right now, where it's like, doesn't mobility affect your jump height?
Yeah.
It affects initial jump height, meaning the height of your first jump, not the height of, I'm pretty sure, your other jumps. It's just the height of that very first non-special jump.
And your strafe speed.
And your strafe speed. Your strafe speed. So
well, and that's the benefit. I felt like whenever we were talking about, does it help Titans at all mobility wise? I feel like at the highest end, I'm talking, strafe speed becomes something that's important for dueling. But the way the Destiny sandbox is, and it's like today, for the average player, no.
I would agree. Yeah.
Well, if you look at some of the lethal builds on MNK, it's Dune Marcher Slide. That's your strafe now, and then it's Peacekeepers.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah,
you get
that's
10
true.
anyway.
Yeah. I'm wondering what it would look like if they upped the buff to the strafe speed, but that could be a slippery.
Oh, this one's gonna sound strange.
Yeah,
On Warlock, it's almost a dead stat if you play in the air all the time, because it doesn't change how fast you air strafe.
Oh yeah.
So actually, like right before I got on the podcast, I brought out the that BXR dude on stasis.
That BXR.
It's
I'll give you a build with it.
It's elemental capacitor killing wind, 100 mobility. So on stasis you get a strafe scaler, a little bit faster strafe. So killing wind also adds. So it's got 2 strafe scalers on 100 mobility. You are flying when you're strafing, dude.
Yeah.
So fun.
If you have any suggestions about mobility, whether it should be changed or not changed, please direct all responses to just Cool Guy on Twitter. Only him. I don't want to hear from you. Kidding. Thank you for submitting your discussion topics and your questions on Twitter for tonight's episode. Really appreciate that. And hopefully in the future we can get Drew back here on the show, because we really do appreciate his company. But in the meantime, it was just a pleasure to speak with our good friend Lego here. We really, again, appreciate you coming on the show to chat with us on short notice. It's always good to have someone who definitely has great experience dicking around in the sandbox. We appreciate the extra insight for sure.
It's a good description of what I do. Thank you.
Dicking around in the sandbox.
#1 Rumble player.
Yeah, number one
a
Rumble
day.
player.
For a day.
Hey, dude.
For a day. It still counts.
Good times.
Still counts.
Still counts.
But let's go around the table real quick, and you can hear from each of us where you can find us when we're not here on the show. Starting with our guest, Lego. Where can the people at home find you if they want to check out your content or anything that you do?
Yeah, if you want to check out some cinematic guides, you can find me at Lego LE Flash on YouTube or on Twitter. This all started posting clips on Twitter. So glaive flying, I think, might have been one of the things that really started. So yeah, Twitter and YouTube. That's it. Lego LE Flash.
I'm gonna do the plug for Lego too. I watch his
Good plug.
content because he knows his shit on at least what he talks about with the fusion rifles and glaives and whatnot, and that's useful to me. And it's just like, it skips so much of the work for me, because I'm like, what's good with this build? And then he talks about a fusion being like the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
And at some point in the video, I'm like, that's probably where he's about to talk about it. Then he immediately says what I was thinking. I'm like, yes, confirmation from a good player.
It's like he's done the legwork. Let's just.
I'm now curious. I'll ask you later.
Player, that's it right there. Oh my
What
god.
is the best Rain of Fire fusion? We'll talk about that later.
Ooh.
Cammy, where can the people at home find you?
Twitch.tv/CammyCakes.
Beautiful. Cool Guy, what about you?
YouTube and Twitter, Cool Guy Games.
My man. I'm Fallout. You can find me at youtube.com/FalloutPlays and twitch.tv/FalloutPlays. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate all of you very much. Stay safe, and we will see you next time.